In the distant reaches of the galaxy, the starship Aurora glided silently between clusters of violet-hued nebulae. Captain Elias Harper stood on the observation deck, staring at the swirl of cosmic dust outside. He had traveled across countless light years, yet nothing prepared him for the mission that had just begun. His orders were simple: explore the uncharted systems near the Urandor Nebula and establish contact with any intelligent life. What he did not expect was how fragile life could be, even on worlds far older than Earth. The planet they approached was called Viridian, a world covered with vast forests of crystalline trees and rivers that shimmered with liquid silver. The sensors indicated signs of life, intelligent and complex. Yet there was something else, a faint biological signal, weak and irregular, emanating from a small settlement near the northern hemisphere. It was almost imperceptible, but it was there. A life form was in danger. Elias did not hesitate. He summoned his small landing crew, including Dr. Liana Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, and Lieutenant Arlo Reyes, the engineer. The shuttle descended through Viridian's turquoise atmosphere, landing gently on a crystalline clearing. The ground beneath them glittered like diamonds, reflecting the sun's pale green rays. "Life signs are stable but weak," Liana whispered as she scanned the area with her portable analyzer. "Whatever is out there, it's alive but barely." A small figure lay at the edge of a silver stream, its body fragile and shimmering like translucent glass. Its skin had the soft glow of moonlight, and its large eyes reflected both fear and pain. It was an alien child, no more than 6 cycles old by Viridian standards, its breathing shallow and uneven. Elias knelt beside it, careful not to startle the creature. Liana examined it quickly. "It's suffering from severe blood loss, possibly from an injury inflicted by predators or a local disease," she said. "If we don't act fast, it won't survive." They set up a makeshift medical station nearby, and Liana prepared a transfusion adapted from the ship's universal blood synthesizer. The child species, Lyrani, had a blood chemistry remarkably similar to humans in some ways, but more delicate. Elias volunteered immediately, knowing that his own blood might be the only way to stabilize the child. The moment the transfusion began, the child's body trembled violently, but slowly, color returned to its translucent skin. Its eyes blinked, focused on Elias with curiosity and relief. For a long moment, silence enveloped them, broken only by the hum of their equipment and the soft rustle of crystalline leaves. Elias could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had saved a life, but he had no idea what that might mean for the relationship between humans and the Lyrani people. Hours passed, and the child began to stir. It tried to sit up, but its legs were weak. Elias carefully lifted it, supporting its tiny frame. The Lyrani child reached out a hand, touching his arm, and for the first time, Elias sensed a spark of connection, an unspoken understanding that transcended language. Suddenly, movement rustled the forest behind them. Shadows lengthened as tall figures approached, their forms humanoid yet unlike anything humans had ever seen. Their skin glimmered with the same luminescence as the child, though darker and more vibrant. They were the child's kin, its family. The mother, a tall figure with flowing, opalescent skin, stepped forward. Her eyes widened as she saw her child cradled in Elia's arms. A soft, musical sound escaped her, a greeting perhaps, or an expression of relief. The other figures, guardians, siblings, or elders, gathered around, observing cautiously. Liana whispered, "They're intelligent. They understand what we've done." Elias felt the child's small body tremble again, not from pain, but from lingering fear. He realized this was only the beginning. Saving a life was one thing. Navigating the intricate web of alien society would be far more complex. The mother's gaze turned to Elias, lingering with intensity. Though she made no sound recognizable to human ears, the meaning was clear. Trust had been earned, but something else accompanied it: expectation. Elias felt it keenly, though the exact nature of it was foreign and intangible. He bowed slightly, as one would when meeting a dignitary from another culture, signaling respect and gratitude for their acceptance of a stranger. Night fell over the crystalline forest, and the Lyrani village revealed itself in its full glory. Homes were formed from translucent crystals, illuminated from within by a soft, natural glow. Paths shimmered underfoot, and the air vibrated with a soft, melodic resonance that seemed to respond to the inhabitants' emotions. Elias and his team were invited, or at least guided, toward a central chamber where the elders would meet them. Inside, the chamber opened to a high, domed ceiling that reflected the stars outside. The elders sat in a circle, their eyes focused on the human strangers. Elias stepped forward, offering a greeting in the universal code of peace, learned from countless first contact protocols. The mother stood beside him, her child resting safely at her side. The eldest of the Lyrani elders emitted a series of melodic tones. Liana and Elias listened carefully, their devices analyzing the frequencies. Slowly, a rough translation began to emerge. "You saved the young one. You have done what many of our kind could not. You are welcome here, but the balance must be honored. We mean no harm." Elias realized that saving the child was not just an act of mercy. It was a bridge between worlds, a link that would define how humans and the Lyrani might interact in the years to come. He could feel the potential for friendship, for alliance, and for understanding, but he also understood the delicate responsibility he carried. One misstep could shatter the fragile trust they had earned. Over the next hours, he and Liana learned more about the Lyrani child, named Celira. She had been injured by a predatory insect native to the crystalline forest while exploring near the village. Her resilience impressed them both. Despite her fragility, she had survived long enough for humans to arrive. Her mother, Lyra, watched Elias carefully, sometimes with gratitude, sometimes with intensity, as if measuring the extent of his intentions and character. As the first night deepened, Elias sat outside the chamber, looking up at the twin moons of Viridian. The forest shimmered around him, alive with whispers of wind and crystal. He thought about the fragility of life, the courage of a small child, and the profound responsibility that came with helping another species. Humanity had traveled far across the stars, but moments like this, where a single act of kindness could ripple across civilizations, reminded him of what it truly meant to be human. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, communicating fully with the Lyrani, earning their trust further, and understanding the culture of a species so different yet so connected by shared values of life, compassion, and loyalty. But for now, he allowed himself a quiet sense of hope. He glanced at Celira, asleep in her mother's arms, and felt a resolve strengthen within him. Humanity had the capacity for greatness, for heroism, for forging bonds that spanned worlds. Here on Viridian, that potential was no longer abstract. It was real, fragile, and shimmering under the light of alien stars. And Elias Harper, captain of the Aurora, was ready to honor it. Morning came to Viridian with a soft glow. The twin moons had vanished below the horizon, leaving the sky a pale green, streaked with violet clouds. The crystalline trees sparkled in the dawn, and their soft hum filled the air. Elias Harper awoke outside the chamber, leaning against a smooth crystal trunk, still thinking about the responsibilities of the previous night. Celira, the Lyrani child, had slept through the night without incident, and for the first time since their arrival, he felt a small measure of relief. Liana joined him, holding a small device that analyzed the forest's unique atmosphere. "This world is incredible," she said, her eyes wide. "Every element interacts in ways we've never seen. Even the air has energy you can feel." "It's beautiful, but we need to focus on Celira and her people. This trust, it's fragile." It was the first sign of comfort the humans had seen from her beyond simple recognition. Lyra's melodic voice rang through the air, though the words were unintelligible to human ears. Liana held up her translator device, which worked by interpreting vibrations and tones. Slowly, the words took form. "We will teach you. You saved her life, and that must be honored. But our ways are complex, and mistakes can bring danger. You must learn if you wish to remain among us." They passed rivers of liquid silver, where fish-like creatures shimmered and danced in the flowing light. Birds, their wings like thin sheets of prism, fluttered above them. Everywhere, the forest seemed alive, not just with animals or plants, but with energy itself. Lyra led them to a large clearing where the elders of the village were gathered. The space was filled with intricate crystal formations that served as both decoration and tools, vibrating subtly as though responding to the presence of the humans. The elders, glowing eyes, studied Elias and Liana carefully. One of them stepped forward, speaking slowly in the Lyrani language. The translator device worked to provide a coherent interpretation. "You will learn our ways through observation and participation. You will understand how we live with our forest, how we care for life. Only then will you be truly accepted." "Tell us where to begin." Celira watched eagerly, her curiosity growing, and occasionally mimicked the human's movements, though clumsily. Liana was fascinated by the interaction. It's almost like the forest itself communicates, she said. The plants and animals respond to intent to care. That's why the blood transfusion worked so quickly. Celera was not just biologically similar. This species reacts to empathy. Elias realized that moments like this, the small, fragile connections, were as important as any medical intervention. But life on Viridian was not without danger. The forest, beautiful as it was, held predators that lurked in the shadows. That afternoon, while the humans and Celera were gathering crystal fruit near a sparkling river, a low, vibrating growl echoed through the trees. The wind shifted, carrying the sound of wings, and a shadow passed overhead. Liana froze, something coming. From the shadows emerged a creature unlike anything the humans had encountered. Sleek, six-legged, with crystalline scales that refracted light into sharp, dazzling patterns. Its eyes glowed red, and it moved with terrifying speed. The predator lunged, but before it could reach them, Lyra raised a hand. The air vibrated around her, and the creature halted mid-step, as if struck by invisible chains. Its glowing eyes flickered in confusion, and it slowly backed away, leaving a trail of light behind. Elias lowered his weapon, astonished. Did she control it? That's why they survived in this forest for so long. And that's why they trust you now. They've seen your care, your intent. As night fell again, the humans returned to the village. Celera clung to Elias, tired from the day's events. Lyra placed her child down in a soft, crystal cradle, her eyes lingering on Elias with something between gratitude and caution. Elias sensed that their bond was growing, but it would take more than one act to solidify it. Trust was not given lightly, and he would have to prove humanity's worth. Over the next days, Elias and Liana learned more about the Lyrani society. They discovered that the forest was not just home, but an interconnected system of energy, memory, and life. Every crystal, every stream, every living being played a role in maintaining the balance. The Lyrani taught them rituals for tending to injured animals, for harvesting resources without harm, and for reading subtle cues in the environment. Elias found himself humbled. On Earth, humanity often exploited resources without understanding. Here, survival required empathy, attention, and patience. Even small errors could have cascading effects. Celera grew stronger with each passing day, her confidence returning. She followed Elias and Liana everywhere, occasionally asking questions in her melodic voice, which the translator struggled to interpret. Yet her curiosity reminded them both why they were there, not just to explore, but to learn, to connect, and to prove the worth of humanity in the eyes of another species. One evening, as the twin moons rose, casting pale light across the forest, Lyra approached Elias. This time she did not speak through tones translated by the device. Instead, she simply placed her hand against his shoulder and gestured to Celera. The gesture was clear: care for her child, but understand the larger responsibility of the bond between their species. Elias nodded solemnly, feeling the weight of her trust. The humans were no longer outsiders. They were allies, observers, and guardians of something far greater than themselves. But the forest had already made it clear that mistakes could have consequences. Their journey had only just begun. The night was alive with subtle hums of the forest, the distant calls of luminous creatures, and the quiet breathing of a child recovering from near death. Elias looked around at his team, the Lyrani and the sparkling trees, realizing that the galaxy was full of wonder far beyond human imagination. And if humanity could act with courage, empathy, and honor, they might not just survive among the stars, they could thrive. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and perhaps new threats. But Elias was ready. Humanity had the capacity for greatness, and here on Viridian he intended to prove it, not through conquest or domination, but through compassion, understanding, and action. And as Celera slept peacefully, a small hand reaching out in her dreams, Elias Harper understood something profound. Heroism was not just saving a life. It was honoring it, respecting it, and protecting it against all odds. That truth would guide him through every trial to come. The days on Viridian were passing slowly but with intense lessons. Elias Harper and his team had settled into the rhythm of the Lyrani village, learning the ways of the forest, observing the creatures, and gradually earning the trust of the alien people. Celera, now recovering fully, ran ahead of them on crystal paths, her laughter echoing like music through the vibrant trees. Each day brought new discoveries and subtle challenges that tested the humans' understanding and adaptability. One morning, Liana was examining a grove of trees near a shimmering stream when the analyzer in her hands began to beep urgently. Elias, she called, there's a massive energy fluctuation ahead. It's unnatural, not like the forest. The forest stretched endlessly, glittering under the sun, but something dark seemed to ripple beneath its brilliance. Could it be a storm or a natural event? He asked, though the color of the energy, a deep violet pulsing under the surface, suggested something else. Lyra approached silently, her glowing skin shimmering as she moved. She placed a hand on Elia's arm. Danger comes. Follow us, but with care. You must not disturb the balance. The crystal trees grew taller, their trunks twisting and branching in intricate patterns, forming arches and tunnels. The air was thicker, charged with energy that tingled on human skin. Birds with shimmering wings flew overhead, but their songs had turned urgent, sharp warning of unseen threats. Then they saw it, a clearing unlike any they had seen before. The ground was cracked, as if some force had ruptured it from below. Crystal shards jutted out at odd angles, pulsing faintly with energy. In the center, a massive creature lay partially buried in the fissure, its 6 legs twitching. Its eyes glowed a brilliant red, but its movements were sluggish and weak. Liana gasped. It's one of the forest's apex predators, but it's wounded. How did this happen? Elias realized that the predator was not inherently hostile. It defended the forest, and it reacted to the care and intent of those around it. Yet, whatever had caused this injury was powerful enough to harm a being that even the Lyrani could barely manage. Whatever did this, Elias said, it's dangerous. We need to be ready for anything. Something has disturbed the forest's energy, and we must act carefully. You humans may help, but you must observe, not force. The predator struggled, and a low growl emanated from it, not in anger but in pain. Elias knelt, examining the wound. It's deep. Something massive caused this, perhaps a natural eruption or something else, he murmured. Liana checked the analyzer. Energy signatures are off the charts. This is not natural. Someone or something is interfering with the forest. They were entering the unknown, guided by alien intuition and their own instincts. Carefully, they descended into the tunnel, their light devices illuminating walls of crystal that pulsed with faint energy. The air grew warmer, charged, almost vibrating in tune with their heartbeat. At the end of the tunnel, they entered a cavern that took their breath away. Stalactites of pure crystal hung from the ceiling, and the floor was covered with luminescent moss. In the center was a pool of glowing liquid, radiating intense energy. Around it, symbols and formations suggested that it was not merely a natural structure. It had been shaped with intelligence. This isn't just the forest, Liana whispered. Someone created this. Or altered it. The humans could not act recklessly. They needed to understand and integrate with the forest, not simply impose their will. The team approached the pool cautiously. Liana extended a scanning device, analyzing the energy. It's being drained slowly, and the predator above it was caught in the disturbance. The energy rippled outward, stabilizing briefly, then settling again. We must act together. Humans, you must lend your strength, but follow our guidance. Elias marveled at the Lyrani's understanding. They did not fight the energy, they guided it, using care and precision rather than force. Liana adapted the human tools, carefully aligning them with the natural energy of the cavern. Celira, safely guarded above, watched from a distance, her fascination evident. The child had grown stronger and more curious, and Elias could see in her eyes the spark of intelligence and bravery that marked her people. She represented the future of the bond between humans and Lyrani, a symbol that courage, empathy, and understanding could bridge worlds. By nightfall, the immediate danger had been contained. The predator moved freely again, and the pool stabilized. The cavern, once threatening, now hummed with quiet energy, balanced and calm. Lyra turned to Elias and Liana. You have done well. Your intent is clear and you act with care. This forest will remember your actions. But the challenge is far from over. Others will come, seeking the same power without understanding. You must continue to learn, and you must continue to act with honor. Birds flitted overhead, and the crystal leaves shimmered in soft waves. Celira ran to meet them, her laughter bright and full of joy. She hugged Elias, and for a moment he felt the simple yet profound truth of human heroism. Saving life was only the beginning. Nurturing it, understanding it, and protecting it was the mark of true greatness. That night, as the humans and Lyrani gathered in the central chamber, Elias reflected on the day's events. They had faced danger, unknown energy, and a predator at the peak of its power. Yet through patience, observation, and collaboration, they had prevailed. The forest was alive with lessons, and the humans had learned that bravery meant more than confronting threats. It meant understanding them, working with them, and acting with honor. Lyra placed her hand on Elia's shoulder once more, a silent acknowledgement of trust. Elias felt the weight of it, understanding that this bond would guide not only his actions, but the future relationship between humanity and the Lyrani. Celira slept peacefully nearby, a small hand reaching out unconsciously, as if touching the potential of a universe that could be shaped by compassion and courage. The adventure was far from over. The disturbance in the forest hinted at other forces at work, forces that might test humanity's mettle, challenge their morality, and demand the full measure of their heroism. But Elias Harper, captain of the Aurora, felt a quiet certainty. Humanity could rise to meet these challenges. They could not only survive among the stars, they could thrive and inspire trust, respect, and friendship with every life they touched. And in that quiet night, under the pale glow of Viridian's twin moons, Elias made a promise to himself and to the Lyrani. He would honor their trust, protect their world, and prove that humanity's true strength was not in conquest, but in courage, empathy, and the will to act for the good of others. Tomorrow would bring new trials. The forest had secrets yet to reveal, and the humans had lessons yet to learn. But Elias and his team were ready. Humanity had the capacity for greatness, and here on Viridian that potential would be tested and proven. The morning air of Viridian was crisp, carrying the faint hum of energy from the crystal trees. Elias Harper stood at the edge of the village, gazing into the dense forest that had already taught him so much. The events of the past days weighed heavily on his mind. The forest was alive in ways humans could barely comprehend, and yet it was fragile. The disturbance in the cavern had shown him that there were forces at work beyond their understanding, forces that could disrupt the balance of life if left unchecked. Liana joined him, adjusting the straps of her scanner device. "The energy readings are fluctuating again," she said. "It's subtle, but something is happening deeper in the forest. I think we need to investigate before it becomes dangerous." "You must go," she said. "But understand, this journey is not just about survival. It is about understanding. You will face tests that require wisdom, courage, and compassion. You must prove yourselves worthy of the trust we have given you." Elias crouched to meet her gaze. "We'll keep you safe," he promised. The child nodded, her confidence in him clear. The group entered the forest, moving deeper than ever before. The crystalline trees grew taller and closer together, their branches forming arches and tunnels that filtered the pale green sunlight into scattered beams. The air vibrated with energy, and Elias could feel it tingling against his skin. Birds and small creatures flitted around them, their movements purposeful and precise, as if guiding the humans along a path only the forest knew. After several hours of careful travel, they arrived at a section of the forest unlike any they had seen. The ground was cracked in places, with crystal formations jutting out at odd angles. The air felt heavier here, charged with energy that made the hair on their arms stand on end. In the center of the clearing was a massive tree, its trunk wider than a human building and its branches reaching high into the sky. The tree pulsed with energy, and faint lights moved along its surface like veins of life. Liana examined her scanner. "This is incredible. The readings, they're off the charts. Whatever this tree is, it's a central node in the forest's energy network. It's likely responsible for maintaining the balance of life in this entire region." Elias watched in awe, realizing that the Lyrani's connection to the forest was deeper than he had imagined. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. A low rumble echoed through the clearing, and a section of the forest floor cracked open. From the fissure emerged a creature unlike any they had encountered. Its body was massive, covered in crystalline plates that reflected light like jagged mirrors. Its eyes glowed with an intense, almost intelligent light, and it moved with a deliberate, careful pace. Elias raised his energy blaster but lowered it quickly as Lyra stepped forward, humming again. The creature paused, tilting its head as if listening. Slowly it approached, its movements careful and measured. Elias realized that it was not attacking, they were not enemies. This was another guardian of the forest, perhaps even more ancient and powerful than the predator they had seen before. Liana whispered, "It's testing us or the tree." When it reached Elias, it paused, lowering its head slightly. Elias felt a strange connection, as if the creature could sense his intent. He held his hand out slowly, not to touch, but to show respect. The guardian's eyes flickered, and it let out a low, resonant sound that vibrated through the clearing. Lyra's voice, melodic and calm, guided them. You are judged by your actions, your intent, and your understanding of life. The forest tests all who enter its heart. Only those who act with courage, compassion, and respect will be allowed to continue. It was a challenge to their character, a chance to demonstrate that humanity's strength lay not in power, but in empathy and understanding. He nodded to Liana, who understood immediately. Together, they moved carefully, observing the forest and the guardian, showing attentiveness, patience, and care. Hours passed as they navigated the clearing, performing small tasks under the guidance of Lyra and the guardian. They aligned fallen crystal formations to restore the flow of energy, helped guide smaller creatures back to safety, and avoided disturbing the delicate balance of the environment. Celira watched closely, mimicking their actions in her own small, careful way. Finally, the guardian stepped back, its glowing eyes meeting Elia's. With a low rumble, it turned and retreated into the forest, leaving a clear path to the massive tree. Elias and Liana exchanged a look, understanding that they had passed the test. The forest had accepted their presence, acknowledging their intent and actions. Lyra placed her hand on Elia's shoulder. You have proven yourselves. The forest accepts your care, and you have shown that humans can act with honor among life that is not your own. But remember, this is only the beginning. Greater challenges await, and the choices you make will affect not only Celira, but the balance of all Viridian. We'll do everything we can to honor your trust. Humanity had the potential to be a force for good, he realized, not through domination, but through empathy, courage, and understanding. The next day brought further lessons. The humans learned that the disturbance in the forest was not random, it was the result of an external influence. Explorers from another system, drawn by the unique energy of Viridian, had attempted to harness its power without understanding the balance that sustained life. Their interference had caused the fissure and wounded the predator, threatening the entire ecosystem. Elias realized that humanity's role was not just to survive or explore, but to demonstrate stewardship. They had the ability to act responsibly, to protect, and to restore. Liana's devices helped them stabilize smaller disruptions, but the larger challenge, the external influence, remained beyond their immediate reach. Over the next several days, they worked tirelessly. They reinforced energy flows, restored injured creatures, and guided the forest back toward equilibrium. Celira, ever curious, assisted in small ways, her energy and joy reminding them why their mission was so important. The humans were no longer mere visitors. They were active participants in the life of Viridian, demonstrating courage, ingenuity, and compassion. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Elias stood on a crystalline ridge overlooking the forest. The vast expanse of light and color stretched before him, a living testament to the complexity and beauty of life. He thought about the lessons they had learned, that true strength was not measured by weapons or technology, but by the ability to act with honor and empathy, that saving life was only the beginning, and that nurturing it required patience, attention, and courage. Lyra appeared beside him, her presence calm and steady. You have done well, Elias Harper. You have shown the potential of your kind. But the journey is not over. Others will come, seeking the power of this forest. You must be ready, for the choices you make will shape the future of both your species and ours. Humanity will honor this trust, and will protect Viridian as best we can. Humanity had the capacity for greatness, and here on Viridian they had begun to prove it. Tomorrow, he knew, would bring new challenges, new tests, and new opportunities to demonstrate courage and wisdom. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of reflection, understanding that heroism was not only about facing danger. It was about understanding, caring, and acting with honor in the face of the unknown. And as the forest hummed softly, Elias Harper made a silent promise. Humanity's strength would be measured not by conquest, but by empathy, courage, and the will to protect life wherever it flourished. The dawn on Viridian was quiet, almost deceptively peaceful. Elias Harper stood at the edge of the village, looking into the forest. The energy readings from Liana's devices had grown stronger overnight, signaling that the external force disturbing the balance of the forest had become more active. He knew the challenge ahead would be the hardest yet, testing not just skill and courage, but judgment and empathy. Lyra joined him, her luminescent form moving with calm precision. They are coming, she said, her voice carrying the melodic undertones of warning. Those who do not understand will try to take the forest's power. You must act, but remember, the forest is not yours. Respect life or all will be lost. We'll protect your home, Salira, but we have to be smart. We can't just fight, we have to outthink them and work with the forest. And we do it without harming life unnecessarily. Humanity's philosophy of courage tempered by compassion had carried them this far, and he knew it would be essential now. The humans and Lyrani moved together into the forest, Salira close behind. The air hummed with energy, and the luminous trees cast shifting patterns across the ground. Birds and smaller creatures flew ahead, acting as scouts and guides, their behavior coordinated by the forest itself. Elias realized how interconnected everything was here. The forest, the animals, and the Lyrani were part of a single living system. After several hours of careful tracking, they came upon a clearing where the intruders had set up strange devices. Metallic structures absorbed the light and energy from the crystals, drawing it into dark, humming containers. The creatures operating the devices were humanoid, wearing suits and carrying energy extractors. They were efficient, unaware or uncaring of the life around them. Elias signaled to the group to spread out. Liana began using her devices to disrupt the energy extraction, carefully reversing the flow back into the forest without causing spikes that could harm the environment. Lyra hummed a guiding melody, and the guardian creature from the previous day emerged silently behind the humans, its massive form glowing softly. The intruders noticed the humans and Lyrani and raised their weapons, but Elias stepped forward, hands open. "We do not wish to fight," he said. "This forest is alive. If you harm it, the consequences will reach far beyond this clearing. Leave now, or you will face more than you expect. Energy is power, and we take what we need." Elias understood instinctively. The forest itself could help them, but only if they acted with respect and coordination. He raised his hand, signaling Liana. Together, they activated a series of devices that amplified the natural resonance of the forest. Crystals along the clearing began to hum loudly, sending waves of energy that overwhelmed the intruders' extraction equipment. The machines shook, sparks flying, unable to handle the force of life itself responding to protect itself. The intruders panicked, trying to shut down their devices, but the forest guided the Guardian and the Lyrani. Birds swooped, vines twisted, and roots subtly moved to block and entangle the intruders' equipment, disabling it without harming any creature. Elias watched in awe, realizing that humanity had become part of a living defense system, not through destruction, but by aligning with life itself. One of the intruders tried to charge Elias with a weapon. Salira's small voice rang out, sharp and melodic. The Guardian reacted instantly, blocking the path and pressing the intruder gently but firmly backward. Elias moved forward calmly, keeping his hands open. "Stop! You don't understand what you're facing. If you harm this forest, it will destroy you, not because we attack, but because life defends itself." Elias felt the same truth he had realized days ago. Courage tempered with empathy was more powerful than brute force. Slowly, the intruders lowered their weapons. One by one, they deactivated their extraction devices, stepping back in defeat. The forest hummed, the tension easing as energy returned to normal. Lyra approached Elias, placing her hand on his shoulder. "You acted with honor. You protected life without harming it. The forest remembers this. It will stand stronger for generations because of your choices." Liana examined the devices left behind and said, "They'll remember this. Maybe now they'll understand the cost of interfering with life they cannot comprehend." "And we did it the right way." Lyra approached Elias once more, her eyes reflecting both gratitude and respect. "You have shown that humans can act with honor among life that is not your own. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and empathy can protect not only your species, but all life in the universe. The bond between our worlds is strengthened because of you. It was an honor to help your people and to learn from this forest. Humanity will remember Viridian and the lessons it has taught us." Elias and Liana stood outside the village, watching the twin moons rise over the horizon, casting a serene glow across the crystalline trees. "We did it," Liana said softly. "We actually did it. We protected the forest and the child, and we didn't hurt anyone in the process. It's incredible. Bravery is more than fighting. It's protecting, learning, and respecting life." It was not just between him and the child. It was between species, between worlds. Lyra spoke for the last time before their departure. "Go with honor. Carry our lessons with you. Humanity has the potential to shine among the stars, not by conquest, but by courage, empathy, and understanding. We will watch your journey with hope." He had come to Viridian as an explorer, a visitor, but he left as a protector, a student of life, and a representative of humanity's best qualities. As the shuttle lifted off, leaving the crystalline forests behind, Elias looked down at the village and the glowing paths that wound through the trees. Celira waved from her mother's arms, her laughter echoing faintly as the ship rose. He felt a surge of pride and hope. Humanity had the power to touch life across the stars, to protect, to heal, and to inspire trust. And in that moment, Elias Harper understood the true meaning of heroism, not in battle, not in domination, but in the courage to act with honor, the wisdom to understand, and the empathy to protect life wherever it existed. Viridian's forests hummed below, alive and safe, a testament to the partnership between human courage and alien wisdom. And somewhere deep in the forest, Celira slept peacefully, dreaming of a universe where life in all its forms was cherished and protected. Humanity had been tested, and humanity had proven itself. The stars awaited, vast and endless, and Elias knew one thing for certain. Wherever humans traveled next, they would carry the lessons of Viridian with them, spreading courage, understanding, and hope across the galaxy.